When I first started studying for the LSAT, I thought I'd be able to knock it out in a month, maybe two, and boy was I wrong. It ended up taking me an entire year of beating my head against the wall to ultimately bring my practice test scores into the 170s and score a 175 on LSAT test day itself. Looking back on it, I figured out that a lot of my previous approaches were wrong. At least half of that time was a complete waste, but eventually I did figure it out. I scored a 175 on LSAT test day. And so today I'm going to show you the process I used to bring my score from a 152 to a 175 without wasting any time, without losing your mind, without falling into the trap of taking test after test, without seeing results, without burning through valuable practice material. For those who don't know me, my name is Steve Schwartz. I'm the founder and CEO of LSAT Unplugged, and I've been teaching the LSAT since 2005. Today, I'm going to show you what not to do and what you should be doing instead. You already know that you've got to go through tons of LSAT questions. LSAT releases tons of previously administered LSAT exams called the prep tests. These were real official LSAT questions. But before getting into those practice tests, before taking full-length timed exams, you've got to slow down and build the foundation first. And after you build that foundation, you want to drill questions by type. Then you can take timed sections. Then you can take full-length timed practice tests. But if you don't review your mistakes in depth, you're missing a massive opportunity, because every question that you get wrong or have difficulty with is an opportunity to learn something new. There are tons of tricks and traps throughout the LSAT. If you've taken a practice test before, even just looked at a single logical reasoning question, you probably know what I mean. But the thing is that you're not falling for every single one of LSAT's tricks and traps, or else you'd be getting a 120. And so assuming that you're not, assuming that you're getting some questions right, that probably means that you're only missing some of the tricks and traps, that you're only falling for a few of them. And those mistakes are what you want to hone in on and focus on. And so what I'm going to walk you through today is my Socratic review method framework to help you figure out which mistakes you're making, which tricks and traps you're falling for, and why, so that you can avoid making those mistakes again in the future. This Socratic review method is a framework that we teach in our live small group coaching sessions. In our one-on-one coaching, we'll walk you through it personally. If you're interested in finding out more, you can check out the links below this video to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. Now, the Socratic review method is a system. It's a framework where we walk you through every element of the question, whether in logical reasoning, for example, it could be the stimulus, the question stem, or the answer choices. In reading comp, of course, we're looking at the entire passage and figuring out what did you misunderstand, what did you misread, what did you not fully get in the initial passage text. A lot of times, students will read the passage or they'll read the logical reasoning stimulus, the argument, and they'll be like, well, I didn't really know what that said, so I'm going to go on to the choices and see if that helps. Surprise, that never helps. It never helps to throw even more information at yourself when you didn't understand the initial information that you read. It's only going to confuse you further, because the answer choices only make sense in the context of the argument and the stimulus or the reading comprehension passage itself. And so we will slow you down and help you figure out, what did you misunderstand? Was there a key indicator word indicating, for example, evidence or conclusion or sufficient or necessary? Or maybe the problem was they failed to include those key indicator words. And so we'll help you figure out, how can you understand this is evidence versus this being the conclusion, or this is sufficient condition versus this being a necessary condition, even in the absence of those key indicator words. Or maybe it's about identifying parts of the argument like sub-conclusions or counter-premises. There are a lot of ways LSAC can ramp up the complexity or the difficulty of a passage or an argument. And so we help you figure out which key concepts you're weak in so that we can help boost you up. You got to figure out, if you want to study systematically and not waste your time, studying smarter involves figuring out what are the gaps, what are the conceptual gaps or mindset gaps or informational gaps in your previous LSAT prep up to this point. We help you course correct so that you can study more effectively going forward. That's what the Socratic review method is all about. And I haven't even gotten yet to the question stem or the answer choices, so I'll briefly touch on those here. The question stem, sometimes LSAC uses confusing, unfamiliar wording to indicate a question type. You want to make sure that you are able to properly ID those, even in the absence of using conventional wording. For answer choices, there's tempting wrong answers, unappealing right answers. You got to figure out if it was a tempting wrong answer that threw you off, what was tempting about it, what ultimately makes it wrong. For the right answer, what was unappealing about it, and what ultimately makes it correct, because you have these traps of encouragement towards the wrong answer and traps of discouragement away from the right answer. And of course, until you figure out which of these tricks and traps you are personally uniquely prone to falling for, you may make the same mistake again. If you'd like my help, again, links below the video. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.